Hey everybody, it's your good buddy Spider back with another fantastic episode. I think it's going to be fantastic. I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I guess you'll have to decide. I've got cats trying to push at me, mess around with my stuff here. So, how you feeling? How you feeling? We're keeping to our current decentralized kind of schedule of pretty much whenever I feel like it, roughly once or twice a month, which I think is fine. It gives us quality over quantity. You know what I mean? But this is episode 12. So, we're not too far into it, but we're trucking along. And I appreciate all the listeners, too. We've been getting a lot of really great numbers just on the first 11 episodes. I'm really surprised at how quickly the audience for this show is growing, all things considered. So thank you. Thank you for everybody who's been tuning in. As I'm recording this, let me just make sure I speak that correctly. As I'm recording this, it is April 2nd. So it's not April 1st. It's not April Fool's Day anymore. So I don't got any pranks to do for you. I don't have anything silly, funny like that to do. We're not going to participate in that. But things have been all right here. The weather is, because, being an old man, I have to talk about the weather in every conversation if I haven't seen you for a while. The weather here is a bit unstable. As I'm recording this, later today, there's supposed to be a huge band of storms just all across most of the state, with a 5% chance of tornadoes pretty much minimum across the entire state, with a 10% chance farther to the west here. So I'm hoping all that stuff's going to turn out fine. We don't usually get, we get bad weather a few times a year, but we don't usually get that kind of bad weather in my town. It's not unheard of, but I think we'll be fine. We got that going on. I haven't had any major disasters since the last time. All my house appliances seem fine. My car's in mostly good shape. I just have one thing that's going to need attention at some point in the near future. But everything else seems to be fine. I do want to say, if you haven't done so already, I'm sure I mentioned it in the last episode, and I'm going to continue it with this one. LTATM.net. That is my new website, where I've collected everything, all of my interests, all in one spot. I've got all of my things that I did on Spider Does Things, the YouTube channel, which I still do. The things I do on my Twitch channel, which is my gaming stuff. It also has my affiliations with Big Buff Records. It has This Uncanny Earth. It has both of my podcasts, which is this one and Let's Talk About This, which is sorely in need of an extra episode. I'm really behind on that one. But all of it's there. And you can also connect to the VIP membership LTATM community, the Let's Talk About the Madness community. It's a Patreon page that links to the main website, ltatm.net. And it's free. What's that, you say? It's free. It's a free membership. There is a pay option, but you don't get anything extra from it. Full disclosure, it's just there if you want to. If you want to and you feel like it's your moral imperative to toss some funding towards what I'm doing, then that's all on you, and that's perfectly fine. But if you don't want to do any of that, then the base membership in the Patreon is free. And it always will be free. And there's new content that goes up there. Not super often, but there is new content that goes up there. I just put up a video. Again, I keep saying as of this recording, because these are all things that are happening in real time. And you might hear this episode 2 weeks later after I've recorded it, because maybe that's your schedule. It's going to go up tomorrow morning. But you might hear it, like, who knows when. But as of this recording, I'm going to get that put on a shirt. As of this recording, I started rehearsing for a show. That's my phone smacking against my leg, by the way. That's not me doing anything untoward. I'm not having a good time at your expense while I'm doing the show here. Let me take a drink on that. But I started rehearsing for Goth Night at the Vortex. The Vortex is in Akron, Ohio. If you're listening to this before May 10th, 2025, you still have time to get a ticket. Tickets are $10. It's going to be $15 at the door. Save some money. Buy a ticket from any of the bands on the list. On the list is Seth, The Come Up, Adonis Boyd, me, Spider in the Hole, and Berserk. And all of those bands have tickets. We all have tickets, $10 each, and that'll get you in the door. And it's going to be a fun night. I want people to dress up. We're going to be raffling off what I call a goth starter pack. It's going to have makeup and accessories geared towards that particular subculture. And since I'm on the bill and I'm performing on stage as well as organizing the show, I started rehearsals today, and there's a rehearsal video up on the Patreon. That's where that story links all together. I know you were waiting to find out how that all got connected. But that's where the connection is. So you can see me in all of my beer gut glory doing that. My printer is suddenly turned itself on and is doing things. But I'm going to turn it off because it doesn't need to be on right now. I don't know what it's doing. That's weird. I'm not printing anything. It's the wonders of technology, right? But let's get into some of the topics today. I've got a few things that I found of interest since the last time we spoke. The last time we spoke, it was around St. Patrick's Day. This is obviously later than that. And I actually listened to the first episode of a new podcast. And I might get some groans out there when I mention what this is. I listened to a few minutes. I didn't get a chance to listen to the whole thing. I wanted to go back before I recorded this and listen to more of it, but the time has just been at a premium. I listened to a few minutes of the Bruce Brothers. Who are the Bruce Brothers? This is where you're going to start wondering about my tastes here. The Bruce Brothers are Violent J from Insane Clown Posse and his brother. I don't remember his brother's first name. I think Violent J's name is Joe Bruce. I don't remember his brother's name, but they're the Bruce Brothers, right? And they have a podcast now. And I wondered what it was going to be all about, because you get kind of ideas in your head when you hear, oh, the Insane Clown Posse, what are they going to talk about? Oh my gosh, it's going to be this and that. And you get you start thinking they're going to be typecast. And when I tuned in, I didn't catch the beginning of the episode, but I caught they were talking about nuclear waste. Not in a way that was like, hey, we're going to give them superpowers for nuclear waste. They were talking about real life effects and statistics behind how much nuclear waste is just sitting around different places. They talked about Chernobyl. They talked about a few different things. And it was actually pretty interesting. I don't know how accurate their facts were. I didn't go to the effort of following up on some of the statistics that they talked about. They might have pulled some things from conspiracy sites. They might not have. And I'm not accusing them. Bear in mind, okay? I didn't follow through on a lot of that kind of stuff. So I don't know how accurate it was, but it was really interesting. They talked about how much nuclear waste is said to be stored in different places. There's places underground. There's whole caverns full of it. And like I said, they talked about Chernobyl and some of the other things and how people can basically you can get nukes. I mean, I can't just go and order from a catalog. You can't just order a nuke. But if you're a determined person who wants to cause a lot of damage and destruction, and you get the right connections with people, you can get nukes. You can. There's missing nukes. There's nukes that the United States has misplaced, for one. There's enough dirty material that some enterprising people can collect and create dirty bombs. And there's third world countries, or fourth world countries and stuff like that, who make money selling dangerous technology to other people. And you can get this stuff if you have the money for it. I don't, clearly. But it's kind of frightening to think about that anybody who really had an axe to grind, who was able to get enough money and got lucky to get things through customs and to know exactly where to go and what to do, you could have somebody in your neighborhood right now who has a nuke the size of a suitcase, just chilling, ready to go whenever they want. And that's not even me making stuff up. That's not a conspiracy. There are statistics that back that kind of stuff up. It's crazy to think about. It's not super common. It's not like everybody on your block is going to have access to it. You got to have a real determined person to do that. But it can be done. And they talked about it on the podcast, and I didn't follow through the rest of the podcast, the rest of the episode, to see what else they talked about. But it was interesting, and so I'm encouraging people who are interested in that kind of thing to check it out, because it was more than I expected to hear from an ICP-affiliated source. Right? And that's not even trying to knock them. I know they have... I'm not saying that anybody's not intelligent or that they can't have a good conversation. I'm just talking about generally the music is a certain kind of social commentary. I'm familiar with most of their earlier albums. The first, 10 to 12 albums and side projects and things. And there's a certain level of social commentary affiliated with the Insane Clown Posse, right? And their various groups that they hang out with. So this was something different, and this was something interesting. So if you're looking for something different and you're looking for something interesting, check it out. I'm glad I listened to it, and I'm probably going to try to listen to more when I get the chance. Because I think it'd be worth doing. To be perfectly honest. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. That was kind of a short topic. Here's another one that we got to talk about. You know, I talk about gaming news occasionally when there's some big stuff going on. I talked about Avowed. I talked about Dragon Age the Veilguard and how they had problems. Excuse me, I had a burp there at the same time. Problems. Anyway, let's talk about Ubisoft for a minute. Ubisoft they're a French company. I always thought that they were Japanese, but they're a French company. And they are the publisher. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm talking funny now. The publisher behind the Assassin's Creed franchise, which we'll talk about in a minute, the Far Cry franchise, Rainbow Six, and a couple of other things. I think they, along with EA, put out Star Wars Outlaws, didn't they? You know what? I could check right now because I've got the Xbox on right now. So let's clickety-clack over to the Xbox store and see if we can check that. Star Wars Outlaws, where is it? It's going to be a little while down the list here. It's been out for a little while now. Let's see here. Where is it? Fabulous time-wasting action. Monster Hunter Wilds. That's a different company, I think. I think that might be 2K. Maybe. I don't know. Let's keep going. Oh, where is it? It has been a while since the game came out. So, I'm going through the store. Don't know what that all is. That's not it at all. That's not it. What is it? Now I'm going to talk funny. It was quite a while ago now, actually. I didn't think it was that long ago. There's Indiana Jones. That was from Bethesda. Where is this game? There's Stalker 2. That's something else, too. Man, I should have paid attention to how far back this was. I was not prepared, clearly, for this episode as much as I thought. Well, there's that Starship Troopers game. That one looks fun. I think I'm going to try to play that at some point. Listen as he scrolls through his games. You know what? I'm going to have to look it up because I went so far down the list that that it ran out of games for new games because it's no longer a new game. Star Outlaws. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Star Wars Outlaws. Yes, Ubisoft. Okay, that answered that question. Took us long enough. So they do a bunch of games, and some of these games, like Star Wars Outlaws, was seen as a bit of a failure because the game wasn't ready. They took a lot of liberties with it. A lot of people didn't like the character design. I'm not going to talk about that too much. But they actually had to go in and change the stealth system because people had such frustrations with it. So there was that. But the big thing we're going to talk about, Assassin's Creed Shadows. And also about Ubisoft as a company for a minute, because Ubisoft recently they've spun off part of their business. Now, technically, they still own it, but what they're doing is they're making a subsidiary company to oversee some of their games. They're merging that company with Tencent. Tencent is a Chinese game company that is buying up studios and publishers like nobody's business. Kind of like how Microsoft is just buying people up. Sony is a little behind the times on that. They're trying to kind of pick up other people, but they're not doing as good a job of it. Microsoft bought Bethesda. Microsoft bought Blizzard, Activision, and so Tencent is trying to buy up a ton of people because they're a Chinese company, and Chinese companies are doing everything they can to compete with Western companies, which is everybody from Europe on over. Mostly the United States, for various political reasons. And so Ubisoft has spun off part of its business to Tencent because it's losing money like crazy. Its stock is just falling through the floor. And they've really got problems. And there's a lot of factors involved with that. And I don't want to bore people by turning this into an economic investigation into everything that they did wrong and everything that they could have done right and everything whatever, because it's a lot more complicated than that. But specifically in regards to Assassin's Creed Shadows, without getting into the controversies as far as the setting and the characters, Ubisoft, they have not been truthful or honest in how they've presented how well the game is doing. The game just came out, and they say it's got 3 million players right now. Now here's a sticking point, and a lot of people online are divided over what I'm going to say next. And I'm not going to say fast and hard what that entails. I'm just going to kind of discuss it a little bit and see, because it's curious. Okay, they say that as of today there were up to 3 million players, but they did not say, and they have not said, that that was 3 million sales. That's people who are playing the game in some fashion, whether they bought it, or whether they got it for free, or whether they were given like a code to redeem and they own it that way. You know, there's 3 million players, which tells you that there's a lot of people who were interested in it, right? Now, I saw today a couple of news outlets that said it's one of the top best-selling games year to date, according to a service called Circana something or other. What was the name of them? What did I type into the search when I found out what it was? Circana, Circana, retail tracking service. Okay. Game Rant, which is an outlet that reviews games. I don't follow them very closely, so I don't know how good or how bad they are at what they do. I saw them make a post on Facebook that, according to Circana Retail Tracking Service, that Assassin's Creed Shadows was the #1 best-selling game in the world right now, year to date. And so I thought, well, that's interesting. I'd like to see that, because Ubisoft hasn't revealed the actual sales numbers yet. And a lot of people who are kind of like, who are kind of skeptical about everything, they're like, where's the sales numbers? Because they see the 3 million players. And they want to know how many people actually paid for the game, because that'll tell you if it was a success or not. Right? But there's no sales numbers. So I went and I looked up these people. I looked up Circana. And after a little bit of digging, I found a list from today It says the top 10 selling video games, parentheses, retail and digital, end parentheses, year to date 2025. Okay? Number 1, Monster Hunter Wilds from Capcom. Number 2, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 from Plaion. Number 3, Civilization 7 from Take-Two Interactive. Number 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which was previously number 1 last month. Microsoft, because they bought Activision. Number 5, NBA 2K25 from Take-Two Interactive. Number 6, PGA Tour 2025, 2K25, Take-Two Interactive. Number 7, Madden NFL 25 from EA, Electronic Arts. Number 8, Grand Theft Auto 5, still selling very well. It dropped from number 4, Take-Two Interactive. Number 9, EA Sports FC 25 from Electronic Arts. And number 10, Minecraft. Assassin's Creed Shadows is not in the top 10. So why is Ubisoft telling people and citing this website? This is the website that they're citing. Game Rant is citing this website. Why are they citing this website and saying Assassin's Creed Shadows is the number 1 top-selling video game year to date? That's really interesting. Because it seems if it's not even in the top 10, you'd think this list would be updated today. The list is blatantly false. Or the claim is blatantly false, not the list. So I have to wonder about where Ubisoft is at. Like, what are they thinking? Are people actually even really... How long are people playing this game for? It's got 3 million players, right? Is what they said. I can't verify that. I don't have a way to verify that. How many of those players are continuing to play throughout what I assume is a multi-hour campaign? And how many basically played a demo? They played the beginning of the game and then said, well, it's not for me, and then dropped it. I don't know. I don't know what their retention is. But it's interesting to me that various news outlets, gaming news outlets, are claiming something about the sales that is provably false. Because I've proven it, I looked it up. I was interested. I was like, oh, well, let me see if I can follow up on that. And it's demonstrably false. And so, what is the real story? How much has the game sold? Do people like it? Is it good? Is it not good? I don't know. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since... I played Black Flag for a little while. There was another one I think I played. I think I played the one where you were the Native American. I don't remember what that one's called. That's Assassin's Creed 4? I don't know. Black Flag's 3, I think? I don't know. Now I don't remember. I played a lot of Assassin's Creed 2. 2 was my favorite. It just was... The whole game series is difficult for me. It's really difficult for me. But I like the backing story. I like the historical accuracy of a lot of the earlier games. But I haven't played much beyond that. So I don't have a really good opinion of some of that stuff. But I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know why they're acting the way they're acting. As far as this game is concerned, if it's a good game, then why can't you let it just be a good game? If it's not a good game, then just move on. I guess. I don't know. It's a weird situation. It's a weird situation. But let's talk about more economic stuff. Let's keep going. And let's talk about more economic things. Let's talk about tariffs. which means we're going to end up having to talk about Trump and things. I know anytime we talk about the Trump stuff, people get kind of bristly about it. And I try to look at this as objective as I can, without giving away any sort of political affiliation, because I did not vote for the two primary candidates in the last election. I had no faith in either one of them. I'm in a wait-and-see mode right now to see what happens with the current one, because that's what I always do. Whoever wins, I wait and see before I start complaining about them. After a while, I had a lot to complain about the Biden stuff. Not at first. I let things go until it got to the point where it was a problem. Same thing with the Obama stuff. And I had problems with the Bush stuff before that. I didn't have a chance to have a problem with the Trump stuff in between in 2016 because he was already stuck on... He couldn't do anything after the first year. Because immediately Congress was deadlocked on pretty much everything. So now I'm going to wait and see about what happens with this stuff. But right now, and I will say this, the United States does have a problem with... It has a problem with manufacturing in that it has shipped off too much of its manufacturing power overseas, and it has allowed too much influence from overseas companies on what manufacturing we do have here. Okay. We've shipped off auto manufacturing to Mexico and to China. We shipped off most of our technology and a lot of our everyday things like toys and all that other stuff all goes through China. Clothing goes through places in India and Bangladesh. And the companies that we do have here that make things like steel and metals and whatnot have controlling interests from Japan and China and India. And I think that's a problem. It's one thing to be part of a global economy. Because being part of a global economy is good. Because even back in ancient times, before even the United States was a thing, you had the Silk Road. You had people trading up and down from different regions and territories and kingdoms. And people were able to enrich their countries and to get things that they didn't have any other way, and to make their people's lives better and more interesting, like spices and outfits and fashion and whatnot. But now, to be a part of the global economy, it's everything is too tied together in a way that's dishonest, that takes advantage of of places that have lesser restrictions than others. And too much of the things here in the USA are manufactured in other countries. And I'm not saying that other countries are necessarily to blame for this, and I'm not saying that they're doing a poor job either. I'm just saying that if we did more of that here, we would have more oversight. We could potentially, if we had inspectors and we have the right organizations, make sure things were manufactured more safely, with better materials, and we could give more people here in the United States work opportunities. Okay, I'm not going to go into a diatribe about they took our jobs and stuff. I'm not going to do that. That's not what I'm getting into. That's not the point. The point is that if we had the capability to do more of that here, we could employ more people here to do that. Okay? It just makes sense to me. And so this is where the tariffs are going to come in. Now the goal, I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm only saying this in plain language of what the goal is. The goal is to force companies that have been relying on overseas interests. The goal is to force them to bring back their manufacturing capabilities and their monetary interests back into the home country, which is the United States. Because they won't want to pay the tariffs. The tariffs are a tax on any goods that come and go across a border. If you put a tariff on China, right? Let's say you put a tariff on Chinese plastic. Anything that comes into the United States from China that has plastic, the country of China has to pay an extra fee to get it in here. Okay, that's the most simple way to say it. There's a lot more other things involved with that, but that's basically what it boils down to. And because the intent is that people here will not want to pay that, will not want to... Okay, let me backtrack. Because if China has to pay higher prices on the goods coming in here, they might say, well, we don't want to do that. So people here won't have access to those kind of goods unless they pay a premium, because China will say, well, if people from the United States want to buy these goods, they have to cover the tariffs that we have to pay to ship the goods. Right? So shipping costs will go up. So the intent is that American companies will see, oh, well, our customers aren't going to want to pay more because then they're not going to buy from us. They might buy from a competitor. So we're going to have to stop relying on China for our plastics and start manufacturing our own plastics here. The issue with that, though, is in the short term, that stuff can get really expensive because building new factories and building new facilities and setting up the infrastructure and hiring new people, all of that is not cheap. You have to completely reorganize how a company is put together to move it from one country back here. You've got zoning regulations, you've got property taxes, you've got so many little things. In the long term, having all of that stuff here rather than overseas is good. Okay? In the long term, it's great. You can control all that stuff, and eventually the prices can go down. But in the short term, it's catastrophic to force something like that, because it takes time. And you can't just instantly create savings. You can't instantly just take a loss. you have to pay more because the whole point that manufacturers have been doing things overseas is to pay less on their part and to get more profits. And so you could say, oh, well, just take it out of your profits and just don't pay your executives so much. And yeah, there's so much you can do with that. But you know how slow all that stuff works to change? A corporation is a bureaucracy. And it takes just ridiculous amounts of time for all that stuff to change. You can't just cut stuff off at the knees and expect it to work. It's cost versus time versus supply and demand. And it's just, economics is a lot more complicated than people give it credit for. I used to get gold medals in academic sports league, which is a thing I did in high school, where you would go to different other schools and you would challenge them on subjects like mathematics or art or essay writing or things, you know. And economics was one of the subjects. And I used to get gold medals. I understood it. I still understand it. And I understand that it's just... you can't change it overnight. You can't even change it over the course of weeks. It takes years of subtle little nudges and pushes and deals and all this other stuff to get the economic global machine to adjust itself. And a lot of things are going to suffer in the meantime if you try to force things before their time. And part of the issue is that the United States backed itself into a corner. As much as people are going to be mad that I say this, let's think long term, okay? Right now, you're looking at Trump and you're saying he's the bad guy for this specific thing. I'm not going to even talk about any other things. I'm not going to talk about civil rights or anything. That's a whole different subject. I'm talking purely from an economic viewpoint. People say Trump is the bad guy. And maybe in the absolute short term, sure. But in the long term, he's not the bad guy. The bad guy is not one person. The bad guy is the relentless, it's an idea, it's the relentless pursuit of cost cutting and corner cutting, and the customer trying to get the absolute best deal that they can get, regardless of who has to suffer to get it. I used to be in retail. I used to work for Sears, and if you don't know who that is, there's a good reason, because they're gone now. They're pretty much destitute. They have no physical stores. They barely have an online presence. I worked at a store before everything really got horrible. Right before everything really got horrible for the company. And I sold electronics. And most of the electronics, the prices are set by the manufacturer. Like if you buy a Samsung television, Samsung says, this is the price range that you can sell our TVs for. You cannot sell them for anything outside of this range. No more, no less. So the store, because if there was a range, then the stores would have, not individually, but Sears as a company would have the leeway to say, okay, we're going to have this much of a markup because we had to spend this much to buy these TVs, so we have to sell them for this much to make any profit on them, right? But the margin was super slim. It was very slim. And people would come in, and they would constantly be trying to get lower and lower prices, negotiate like it was a used car lot. They'd be trying to negotiate on prices. And I'd say, no, I can't do that. And they'd be mad. They'd be furious. Because we got to a point where the stores were competing with each other so much for business to give customers the price that they wanted so that they could make a sale, that they had to make a profit any way that they could. And the way that they figured that out was to go up the chain, up the corporate hierarchy, and figure out where they could purchase the stuff the cheapest. And the companies that moved their stuff overseas, where there were less regulations and less oversight and less taxes, were able to bridge that gap. And that's what the customer wanted. And because we catered to the customer too much, that's what happened. And I'm not saying that we should increase the prices on everything and make people pay more, because I don't want to pay more. I'm telling you, groceries are bad enough as they are. But it's because there's no wiggle room on anything because of this misguided attempt to make the sale and to make the customer happy. The customer pounced on it. The customers, the insatiable desire to get something for nothing is what drove the corporations to cut the corners that they have. And it's unfortunate. Like, nobody wants to pay full price, but sometimes you just have to. Sometimes you just can't get something on sale. Nowadays, it's unthinkable. Like, now I go to the grocery store and I cringe. I just, if I can't get something on sale. Because I need to, I'm so tight on the budget. Like, there's only so much you can do. I'm not made of money. I'm not a millionaire. I have to save money everywhere I can, and it's because of the system. The system has gotten to a point where any little deviation that drives the prices up is murder. When the price of groceries went up, I'm telling you, it's so difficult. It is so difficult to keep food in this house in a way that lets us eat nutritionally, not just eating food, because you can get any kind of food and be satisfied. It's getting food that keeps you healthy, that keeps you feeling good, that's not just snacks and cookies and chips and whatever, and even that kind of stuff. All that stuff is ridiculously expensive. It doesn't matter if it's healthy or not. I spend on groceries double what I used to spend back before the virus came through. Back before the virus stuff happened in 2016 on. And some people will say, oh, well, that's obvious. Who was in charge around the time? It was Trump. It's Trump's fault. And it's not that simple. It's not that simple. And now with the tariffs and things, I get the point. I do get it. It's to, again, it is trying to get these corporations to look at the costs of doing business overseas and to decide, oh, well, it's not worth the cost. Let's do things here. But there's a price increase from there because you have to build facilities. You have to do this. You have to hire more people. And see, I'm repeating myself because that's how it is. It's a circle. Everything is expensive. Are the tariffs a good idea? In the long term, I think, yeah. In some regards, not on everything. Not everything needs to be taxed. Okay? Not everything needs to be taxed. I'm not in favor of just blanket massive tariff amounts on everything from a certain country just because we can. But in the short term, it's going to suck. It is really going to suck, and I get it, and I understand it, and I don't feel great about it. And I don't know because we've only got 4 years to see if this is going to work. Because the next person in if it's from a different political party, are instantly going to cut off all that stuff and change it around. So it might all be pointless anyway. And that's what's frustrating about it. It's frustrating that you never get a chance to see if anything is going to stick. You constantly have this political push and pull over what we're going to do as a country and what we're not. Nothing has a chance to stabilize or to solidify. And I don't know. I'm in a middle of the road kind of place on the whole thing. I don't want to spend any more on groceries. I really don't. I'm struggling. I've had to change how my family eats to make sure that we can all eat healthy. And that's, I don't know, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And I hope that there's a way to change that. I don't know. I'm going to wait and see. But in the short term, I don't think it's going to be great. So what else do we want to talk about? We've only got a couple of minutes left. I don't know when the next episode is going to be, because I usually don't. I don't know what the next topic is going to be, because I usually don't. I usually take a couple of weeks to follow the trends and the news and to see what's going on in the world, and then to formulate a show from there. Right now, it's beginning of April. So I know some people are going to be doing things for Easter. I don't celebrate it. My family might be going to visit their extended family, and I'll probably be here at home because I don't like to go do that kind of stuff. But other than that, if you do celebrate the holiday and I don't see you before then, I hope you enjoy it, have fun. Do whatever you do. Do the Easter baskets or the church or the big dinner. I don't know. Whatever you do. Have fun with that. New episodes of This Uncanny Earth are coming back from the hiatus, from the break in the season. They're going to be coming up in just a couple of days here as of this recording. So you do want to make sure you tune into that. If you're tuned in, like I said, to ltatm.net, Let's Talk About the Madness, the new website, you're going to be able to get access to fresh new episodes of this show, of all of my gaming content from YouTube, of the latest episodes of This Uncanny Earth, of any news we have coming up from Big Buff Records, upcoming events. We've got sponsorship packages available if you want to do that. I've got the best prices in town, and I guarantee it. You're not going to find anybody around who's got better advertising rates than I do. I bet you. Other people who like to use the letters LTATM in their slogans and marketing might disagree, but I doubt it. They don't put that stuff out there, but I do. 1 month of advertising through ltatm.net on the sponsorship and affiliate page is $15. $15 a month, super simple. You make your ad in a video format or in just whatever you want to do, in like an image, however you want to do it. I can even make you a little bit of copy if you're interested. $15 a month, or a block of 3 months for $35, you're getting a discount for $35, or for a year, it's $100 per year. That sounds like a lot, but at $15 a month, generally that would be $180 a year. So you're saving $80. You're almost getting it for 50% off. It's like, what, 60% off? Probably. No, 40%. You're getting it 40% off. Now I'm making promises. 40% off, probably. $80 you're saving per year to advertise on ltatm.net, one of the fastest growing websites on the internet today. And there's no commitment. If you don't see any change in your business numbers after the first 3 months, you're free to cancel at any time. That's what I'm pitching to you. $15 a month, $35 for 3 months, $100 a year. It doesn't get any better than that. Nobody has better prices than that. I swear. I guarantee nobody's got better prices than that. And you get to advertise on the ltatm.net website, along with Facebook promotion and all that good stuff. And I'll plug you during these shows as a sponsor. How does that sound? Everything sounds good, I think. Email us at official.ltatm@gmail.com if you're interested. And that's it, and that's all I got to say. That's my pitch. I won't put any tariffs on you if you're nice to me. Just kidding, I won't. You are untariffed for your advertising needs. Tune in next time. Again, I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting and probably slightly controversial. I know people are going to have a problem with things that I say because I say them. And again, don't forget to go to ltatm.net. Let's talk about the madness, the only arrangement of those letters that you need in your life. I'm going to reach for my mouse here so I can put on the theme of the outro. And that's it. Have a good night. See you next time.